you had a really good run going in the Brickyard 400 that first year. You led 3 times for a total of 70 laps, but you had some sort of issue on a pit stop.
We ran really good. Daryl Jarrett and Ernie Irvin. Between the three of us, we pretty much dominated the race. I think we led most laps. But we come out like third, and I'd have to. We were so good that I'd get by Dale Jarrett, and then I'd get by Ernie Irvin. We lead, and then we were at that point. We're leading in a race, and we were fast. And we come into the pit stop, and it is talk about a bad day in a really short moment. That really, made a huge impact on the race. Is our pit stop was not our best performance there, and the driver getting out of pits was not his best performance there, because after the pit stop kind of went awry, we were probably going to come out 10th instead of 3rd. I stalled the car. Time I got going, I come out like 18th, and I think we still managed to get up in a 7th or 8th. The car was that good, but it took us out of contention to win the race. And I bet both Ernie and Dale Jarrett were very good at that point in time too. So if they made their car a little bit better, they were probably. I don't remember who won. I think Ernie crashed, and I think Dale Jarrett earned it, if I remember right. But it was one of those days that you kind of walked out of the garage with your head down. Not. It was just one of those things that got away with us, and it was heartbreaking.
Yeah. Who were the Chuck Ryder and Lawrence Harry that you knew?
Well, Chuck, he run the racing aspect of things, and we knew everybody's overbred in racing. So me and Doug Hewitt, and we'd always say, hey, we really need to get this stuff and try to get the team a little bit better. And he would always say, well, if you win a race, I'll go get that stuff. So that was always our thing. I says, hold up, we need the stuff to go win a race, but because if we could win a race, we wouldn't need it type thing. So that was always a back and forth. He gave me a great opportunity and things of that nature to run there. And I thought we ran well. I mean, our first year, rookie year, we had some great runs. Of course, Brickyard being probably the best run of the year for sure. But the second year, we managed to finish 11th in the points, 1 point out of 10th, which we were ahead that whole time. And then the teams that got ahead of they were, because they had multi-car teams. Well, they moved around to get their car in the top 10, which I understand. But we were the person that got knocked out of it, so that was a little different. But so we're at Charlotte. And I'm up in the Chuck Ryder had a suite, some Panzo people there and things of that nature. And I'm talking to some people, and this guy come up, super nice guy, and he introduced himself as Lawrence. He just said Lawrence. He didn't say Lawrence Harry or anything. I didn't understand at that time how they got Bahari, because I just saw the cheetah, and there it is. I bet you I talked to him for about an hour.
Yeah.
He never told me who he was, and I didn't know who he was because Chuck's the only one of the people, the owners. I thought it was just Chuck that owned it. So anyways, we were sitting there talking all that, great conversation, super nice guy. And time went on in that, and I finally says, hey, who's that guy there I was just talking to? Because I'm really bad about names, I said, well, it's Lawrence Harry. I said, oh, okay. What's he do? He goes, owns your car. I go, what? He didn't own my car. Chuck Ryder owns my car. Yeah. Well, at that point in time, I got the version of Chuck Ryder, Lawrence Harry, and not Dick Baird, the other Baird from Loudon. Bob. No, Bob owned it. So it was Dick Baird.
Yeah, I think it was Dick.
Yeah, Dick Baird. They all owned a car together, and that's how they got Bahari, by taking a few letters out of their last name. So I learned that about halfway through the season. So it was
It's about the same time I learned it.
Yeah, and I've actually at times it kept in of course Chuck passed away and with Lawrence Harry, because he was at that time was part of that Briggs and Stratton thing of 77. I need some parts. I knew he was there, and I contacted him, and we've had some good conversations just throughout the years.
Is he still living?
That I don't know, because it's probably been probably been about 8-9 years
Okay,
ago
wow.
last time I talked to him. But it's been that many years. I'd still every
Yeah.
once in a while run into him
Yeah.
and chat with him, and probably one of the down to earth
I
guys
got
that
to,
you
I got to
meet.
know he and his wife. What was his wife's name?
I don't recall.
I got to
now.
know them. I met them in Japan when we went for that first exhibition race. And my wife was appointed as a district court judge here in North Carolina. And Lawrence Harry and his wife were the only two people from NASCAR who came to her swearing in. So
Nice.
I will never forget that.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
And I always laugh. I said, Lawrence was crazy. He was like
Yeah.
a quiet, super guy, and he was talking about the trips. Yeah, we went to, I don't remember what
Yeah.
country. We bungee jumped. And I'm like, what? Are you nuts?
Yeah.
And that was a great side of him.
Yeah.
He was outside the racetrack. Very seldom ever saw him at tracks except for Charlotte, stuff like that. I've seen him more outside in
Yeah.
things of that nature, and it's very enjoyable. He's good people.
Jeannie's Christmas present that year came home from Japan in the seat of your race car.
Nice.
Yeah, shipped it back
Glad,
in the container. That was
Glad
awesome.
we all could help. I think we've all shipped stuff with
Yeah,
race teams.
yeah.
How did you end up at Roush Racing in 1998?
That was a weird deal because I was really happy staying with Chuck and things of that nature, and I can't go into the point where how it got there, but I was told by some higher ups that I needed to look at this and go to that. Jack never contacted me. This came from somewhere else. And I said no. Well, then I was told I needed to go do that, so I did. Then we had that conversation and moved over there. But at that time, and then Chuck was really trying to keep me there, and I really wanted to, but I was getting nudged to do it, and I would not at the time real happy about it because I was really happy where I was at. And so as that process happened, then I did get excited about it because I was supposed to drive this particular car with this particular crew chief who's very, very good. And then when it got said and done with and they were moving in and going to do that, I didn't end up where I was supposed to be. And that came from internal there, but so that was tough. I think of my career that the first year not so much, second year pretty tough. Because when you get pushed that way and you got it set and excited about where it's going to go and it didn't happen, that's really hard for anybody, especially
Yeah.
a racer.
No names necessary, but we talking Ford people, Roush people, NASCAR?
More in the team driver area that
Now,
that
see,
did
if you
not
don't
want
tell us,
that
we're going
to-
to have to speculate.
no, because I respect everybody that was there and
Yeah.
is in that
I
situation.
understand.
And it would just be foolish to bring it up. But on that part, but I'm saying this is a story of how it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, I will tell you, I was supposed to be, with Buddy Parrott
Yeah.
in one of the cars. Now that driver's not where it came from, but there was some tension within the organization that this was happening. And I think that they didn't know about it. And I think it's what was happening. And then all of a sudden, a bunch of stuff got shuffled around, and then I'm not where I signed up to be. And so it was tough. It started off good,
Yeah.
but then it became very tough.
Well, you mentioned that 98 was one thing, and then 99, it just kind of fell off a cliff, I guess.
It fell off.
And you had, what,
we were
three
getting
different crew chiefs?
3 or 4 in, we were at Charlotte, and I'm telling him, I says, the car's really good. But and I said, well, we're slow. And I said, no, I understand that. And at that point in time, Jack got Mark Martin come down there, and Mark jumps in a car and he goes out and he runs. And he come in and he said the same thing. He says, this car's really good. And I says, would you trade cars right now? And he goes, yeah, I'd take this car right now. Why? I go, well, you're 3/4 seconds slower than your car. And he was shocked because he says, this car drives so good. And the next thing you know, he walks away. Well, I probably shouldn't have said that at that time, but Jack was there. Then all of a sudden we get pulled down to the office to get chewed on. But then of course they like to involve everybody, so everybody's in there. And then we get rid of the crew chief. And I says, no, I've already got rid of crew chiefs. It's not where the problem is. And things of that nature. Well, then Jack, Jack, like everybody. So I'm going to start, every time you wreck a car, I'm going to charge you for it now because we're wrecking cars. And that kind of now Jack has said that to every driver in there.
Yeah.
It's not nothing nobody knows about. But so at that point in time, I says, well, I'll make you one better. I says, you don't pay me the rest of the year and get me in the top 10 in points, otherwise find another driver. And I walked out. So
I thought Johnny Benson was supposed to be a nice guy.
well, yeah, but when you get called out sometimes, right?
Yeah.
And if it was just maybe the three of us, I probably would have dealt with it. But he did this in front of
Oh wow.
everybody. And so anyways, I go home. Of course, the crew chief at that time calls me. He says, crap, this ain't going to be good. I go, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm fired. I'll be fired by the end of the day. And I didn't get a call. I'm like, crap. Now I don't know what to do, And sure enough, he fired the crew chief, which I didn't want. So then it was just the tumbling effect. And it was never one person there. It was just all of a sudden, it was crumbling around us. And I still had 2 more years of my contract. I walked away. I told him I ain't doing it at the end of the year. I said, it's not good for you. It's not good for me. It's not good for your people. This is not working. And I walked out. So, of course, then they, still got to deal with the contract part, which is why I don't like contracts. But so we had to deal with that. So that was it was a great promising aspect going into there that just didn't happen.
Did it seem like a relief to get away from that, or was there maybe a little bit of panic about what you were going to do next?
No, I mean I wasn't in a panic because I could find something to do. I go back run my late model, go work for my dad in the business. I didn't really look at that, and at that point in time, that's when I was approached from Tim Beverly aspect of things. So I pretty much kind of knew there was a direction when that happened, but this was after the last race. This was
That Tim got in touch with you?
yes, this
Okay,
was
yeah.
after the thing with Roush was done.
Yeah.
And so we had chatted, and he had some people there, and I says, yeah, I'll do it. The same scenario came back up that somebody else came, so I'm driving a car, and I says, wow, I kind of already committed to something. So then they were mad I didn't talk to them. I says, there's no sense. I told the guy I'm going to go do this. I don't. Why
Was it
waste
a
your
sponsored
time?
deal, or?
No, it was just another car. It's a
Okay,
good car, but I think at that time maybe I should have just went and talked to him and all that. But I says no, I'm kind of already set and moved. Well, they were mad about that. But I told them I go do this. This goes back again. I told them I'm going to do it. There's no sense of talking.
Wow.
And other than that, I appreciated this and that. But I think I'm all set. So we just carried on, and of course the town obviously was pretty good in the beginning there and things of that nature, and then it was sold. But
Yeah. Daytona 500, year 2000. You show up with a plain white Pontiac, and you wind up leading late in the race. This was going to be the 1980 Olympic hockey team. This was going to be it. But you had like 400 Fords right behind you. Take me through those last.
if you're going to
few
take a
laps.
race that you walked away just beat up, was that one. Because it's Daytona 500.
Yeah.
And we did have a shot. We had a legit shot to win that. And we were good in practice. We went back and forth, and we qualified okay. Or we were off a little bit in qualifying races. But when we took the qualifying engine out and put a race engine in there, we lost a bigger percentage than what most did. So then all of a sudden we couldn't keep up with anybody. So we went back and forth. We were using Hendrick engines at the time. We went back and forth with them, and we were like, give us an engine we need to find out where we're at, or if it's a car, this and that, whatever. So we got actually an engine on Jeff Gordon's car. We put it in there for last practice, and the car was fast. And we were like, okay, we don't want to use this race engine. Find us a different one. And in Hendrick and them, they got another engine, and we threw it in there, and it was really good. We know how important that the cars are down there, but the engine is really important too. and we were good all day. And then James Ince took a huge chance just putting 2 tires on near the end. It was a long run, not a short run. We put 2 tires on. The car was really good. We stayed out front all the way until a caution with 10, 12 laps to go. And I'm looking in the mirror, and I'm like, crap, and spotters are going, yeah, this might not be good. Of course, Daryl Jarrett's behind me, which obviously he's very good at what he does, and then there was 4 more forwards, and I was Pontiac, the closest Pontiac's like 6th, 7th, 8th, and I think when we got to green, there was 6 to go, and then I took off. I don't have a lot of up-front experience at Daytona, especially in a Cup car. So I'm like, okay, we're pulling away. Well, what I know today, that was bad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I know I can run wide open. I run wide open all day. So I'm watching them, and they're kind of coming. And I couldn't quite stay on the bottom. He got there. He kind of bumped into me pretty good, which is, I expected that. I knew that was coming. But I was loose enough with being on 2 tires that I'm starting to go up the track. I didn't want to, but he's still leaning on me, or he's pushing me. He's not trying to wreck me, but he's just pushing on me, and he was good enough to just cut me underneath me, and then I was toast. And I still remember Earnhardt coming up. Man, I would have ran him in the pond. I said I couldn't. I couldn't stay down. I was sliding up, and man, that last 3 laps are just horrid. I'm going backwards. Bob Labonte started to pull out to help me, and when you're the only car out there, he knew it was too slow, so he ducked back in. And so I don't know where he ended up, 12th or something like that. But it was an opportunity. I think if we were in green, we'd won the race. I don't know. I can say that. I don't know if that'll happen, but I think we had stayed ahead for over 40 laps in that position.
Yeah.
And I thought we were in good shape, or 30 laps, whatever it was. We were in a few. We could make it. And, it didn't happen.
You finished 2nd at Bristol that spring. What do you remember about that?
I'm pretty sure Rusty Wallace won if I had to guess. Because he pretty much dominated Bristol. And I think we run 2nd. We came from a ways back, and that was a great race for us. We run 2nd, I think, behind Tony Stewart at Bristol or Dover. But I remember running that race, and Bristol was always tough. And crew chief kept saying, just 80%, just keep on the bottom, just stroke. And then we just kept adjusting the car to that, and we just kept getting better and better and better. I don't think we had a shot at being Rusty there because he's so good, but we were right there with him, and it was a good race for us.
Where were you mentally early that year through Bristol or wherever? Did you have the sense that this truly was the right deal for you, or were you maybe already beginning to see some storm clouds on the horizon with him?
I already had that feeling that we were going to be good before Daytona.
Okay.
Just working in the shop, James Ince, Jay Guy, a bunch of guys that were there. They were racers that from all different parts of the different types of cars, this and that. But it was one of those teams where the shot guy just wasn't the shot guy. That was his job. That's what he did. But if this guy needed help, he'd go help him. Same thing with the engine guys, or not the engine guys, the engine tuners. They were from Hendrick, but they would also step in and help. And that's unusual when the different company guys would if you need a hand, if you're either just carrying something, you just need some help, they would do it. Everybody on that team did that. They did their job of what they're supposed to do, but they didn't just do that job. They helped everybody, and that's unusual today for sure. But I've been with teams, I'm a shot guy, I can't help them. Yeah, I'm doing my job. Well, this team did not do that. They had that short track mentality that if the guy next to you, not even your team, blew an engine and there were 3 guys trying to pull an engine out, this and that, they would help them. That's how this team was. So I knew going into it was going to be decent and very enjoyable. I think out of all my Cup stuff, that was working with the team and how it did at that time. Bahari was similar to that too, but that's hard to beat, that feeling that people would help you outside of. they're in a team. It's hard to explain. I know you
Yeah,
guys
and-
might understand that, but that they would help when that's not part of their job. Even
Oh,
though
yeah,
the jobs
yeah,
work on a
yeah,
car, we get
yeah.
that. But they would, it was a non-question if somebody's, they jump right in and help. The problems came later when,
You know what? I'm trying to ask it appropriately, but when did you become aware of Tim's issues or needing to sell or whatever? And how much of
It
a
was-
concern was that?
oh, it was late. I did not know
Okay.
what the stuff that was going around.
Did he sell
until-
about midway through the year?
Yeah, we were midway through the year,
Okay, yeah.
and so at this point in time, I figured it out when we were financially being restrained a little bit on stuff, which rightfully so, but that became a little tough because you're trying to, you're still trying to race, trying to get parts, you're trying to get
Yeah.
stuff, and then people would refuse sending you some parts, or if you're at the racetrack, you'd run over the parts truck, and they would not either give it to you, and then
Wow.
then that makes
Yeah.
it tough.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
we weren't a multi-car team yet in that first part, so you had nothing to borrow parts from. So that's when I noticed it was coming, and then there were some really creative people. This is funny. I think it's the funniest I ever saw. There was people interested in buying a team. So this lady comes up, and she's interested in buying a team. Of course, the team aspect of it is trying to go through this. Of course, you're trying to wine and dine an owner at this point in time. We need money, right? So they're going through this. They're sitting on a pit box with us, and this is going on a couple weeks. And they said, "We think we got this sold." Well, they did a background check on her, and all this, and there was some money there. But the problem is that what we found out after this little next segment, that money wasn't hers. It was in their family. And one day I was with this guy that we were all doing this with. I was good friends with him, and I don't remember if I moved. Anyways, he was either looking for a couch or I was, and we just had a meeting. We go over there, and we're sitting there at this big huge furniture store, and all of a sudden we both at the same time we're like, "Look, my friend, ain't that the girl that's been to the races with us?" Sitting on a box trying to buy her team. She worked at the furniture store. And we were like, "Oh my God." And we were like, well, we're trying to figure out how this fall through the cracks. Well, she kind of
Her rich uncle had
manipulated her
died yet.
thing. Their family or parents or somebody had a lot of money, but they were not involved in this at all. She was just, and then we were
Wow.
like, okay, now we're in big trouble. Well, at that point in time, MB2,
Yeah.
it stepped in and bought us. Saved us.
In 2002, you did a one-off deal to run the Richmond Busch Series race, but you're involved in an early crash that left you with some cracked ribs, I think a shoulder, and you wind up missing 3 cup races.
Yep.
But then you get into another early mishap at Daytona, and you miss 2 more cup races.
Yep. Yeah, one of those bad days, right? Bad weeks. Broke some stuff. It was, Richmond, of course, Steve Park, I think, at that point in time was hurt, so that was a Whelen sponsor car at that point in time, and they asked me to run that race, and I says, yeah. And we're running good, and we got wrecked and hit the wall in a very wrong, bad way. And so I said, yeah, I spent the night in hospital. But they did a bunch of checking. I broke some ribs, but they showed a shadow on my aorta. So I went through, I couldn't tell you how many tests all night.
On your heart?
Yeah, I showed
I didn't know that.
a shadow there. I remember the Dr. Wolfgang, he comes in there and he say, I'm Dr. Wolfgang. And I said, he goes, I'm a vascular surgeon. And I go, yep, you're in the wrong room. And he's like, no. And then he explained, which made sense now, because I did a CT scan, and then I come back, and like 10 minutes later, 15 minutes later, I'm going again. Look at the nurse. I said, where are we going? CT scan. I go, huh? Of course, they gave me some stuff by now. I think it's just deja vu. It doesn't make any sense. Well, they sent me for a second one. within 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, okay, this is odd.
Yeah.
And then when he came in, he said, well, we're going to do another test. So then I call it the garden hose they put down your throat to go in there and check that. And then they says, well, we're 2 for 3. Only one showed good. The other 2 still in bad. And so then a little later, a guy come in and he says, what are you doing? It's like, right now it's like 3 a.m. Nothing, you know. And so he goes, well, I'm going to try something. So then they put me in a MRI, and I sat in that for like an hour or something. And then they come back out and they says, oh, you're good, you can go home. I go, what? We went through all this. He says, oh, no, that's either good or bad. There are no in between.
Oh, wow.
So once they were satisfied, they go, you can go home. And I says, well, can I at least spend another couple hours here? And so I forget what time it was. I got up in the morning, and then I went back over to the track. Could barely move, but so and to be honest, I'm not sure who drove the car. I think either Nadu. I know Nadu ran later, so I think Jerry Nadu got in the car, and so I watched the race there, and I went to the track. So I was still there, watching, helping, doing everything I could. I couldn't drive the car, but did everything I could to get Jerry through that part. And then I got back in the car, wrecked at Daytona, and I did crack some ribs on my other side. And I was out, but then I was coming back in for Indy. I was not missing Indy.
Yeah.
Probably not my best decision, but it was it hurt so bad getting in the car. But I think Indy was my next race back after that.
Did you kick yourself for doing the Busch race?
Nope.
Did you not?
Nope. How can you come in?
Okay.
I didn't kick myself for wrecking a car at Daytona and getting hurt either. So I mean,
Yeah.
Again, I was just a racer. I'm gonna race whenever, how, doesn't matter. I mean, hindsight's 20/20. We can go back and say,
Sure.
you know, what if we won a race? I'm not gonna kick myself for doing that. So I can't kick myself for getting into something and getting in a wreck. I mean, it wasn't a part failure. It wasn't driver aspect of it, at least on my end, that happened. So I don't view that stuff that way. You know, if I make a mistake and you get in a wreck and all that, I'd have a different opinion on that. But I don't think that's where that wasn't the issue. So I don't ever second guess it.
Well, I know what you're talking about the cracked ribs. Been there, done that.
Oh, they hurt.
Oh,
When you get them on the left side, it ain't so bad, but on the right side's bad. Cause you know, you're just going to spend the next 4.5 hours pushing on it.
Steve got wrecked at Talladega.
Yeah.
You led some laps and you finished 4th at New Hampshire, and then you finished 2nd at Martinsville. Were you satisfied that you were knocking on the door, or was there maybe a little bit of frustration that, for whatever reason, you hadn't been able to close the deal yet?
When you can run in a top 5, you got that sense of hope and encouragement and confidence that we're going to win a race.
Okay.
And that goes through the driver, goes through the crew, goes through everybody. You have to get your job do your job to get that done. You all do. So we were just knocking right on the door right there, and it was like, okay, top 5's great. We're at where we want to be, because if you can run in the top 5, you got that opportunity to win a race. And we worked hard at, you know, every week. I mean, when you run 30th, they're working the same hardness, but when you start running up in the top 10s consistently and in top 5 consistently, you know, people say, well, you just got a lot of confidence now, that helps. It does help, but it's at that point in time, you're just more confident in the direction you're going.
Yeah.
And then you don't second guess, should we try this or not? It's always a test. It's always anything you do that it's out of your realm. It's always a unknown. Well, we were feeling pretty confident going through what we were doing. We felt we were making the right decisions, which I think we were. And so we were like right there. And like I say, Loudon, I think we had a really good shot at winning that. We were up front, ran into a incident with the lap car that was giving us a little bit of a hassle, but that probably took us out of that, because we were leading it late in that thing, and then that kind of messed it up. So we run 4th. Martinsville was a good run for us. I think myself, Ricky Craven, and Kurt Busch, we were all good. And it was just right there at the end. Kurt was up front. We chased him down. I just couldn't get around him, especially late in the race. But it was a good run for us.
Now, late in the Martinsville race, they're talking on ESPN on the broadcast about whether or not you're going to use the bumper to get by Kurt. And Benny Parsons goes, "Nah, he ain't going to do that." And then your crew chief, James Ince, said after the race that maybe you should have been a little more aggressive. And,
You not read his regular quote. He goes, "I'd have wrecked my mom doing that race."
And honestly, basically, everybody who didn't drive your car that day was expressing their opinion about, woulda, shoulda, coulda, should he have driven a little harder.
I couldn't drive any harder. There is no way I could have drove any harder. I messed up going into one, and Kurt knew this. I mean, Kurt's very good at what he does. So that was after the ground of the track and the outside of the track worked well. Myself, Rick Craven, about one of few that made very good gains running on the outside. And I think at the time I was catching Kurt, I was doing both, run top and bottom. I knew Kurt was going to stay on the bottom. As a leader, you're not going to venture out there. Well, because he was up front all day. Well, we ran through traffic, and the outside was pretty good. At that time, I caught him. I was afraid to go out there and show him that with a couple laps to go. So I was going to wait till I counted. Well, I couldn't do it in 3 and 4 because I didn't get off 2 as good as I needed to. So I was going to run the outside of him through 1 and 2. Well, I think Kurt knew what I was going to do. So right as he started that, he moved up before he moved down. And I did hit him. Not hard, but when I did that, it messed my entry up. And I missed that opportunity. But what you're talking about is going to knock him out of the way. And my dad had always taught me from the beginning, when you run outlaw cars, there ain't nothing in front. You can't hit nothing. You're gonna ruin your day. But he's always told me that knocking a guy out of the way, he goes, anybody can do that. Anybody with a fast car can do that. Pass him. He says, you got to earn the respect, get beside a guy before you make contact. And that's how I always drove. And so I could have just knocked him out of the way. That would have been easy to do. But I would have regretted it from my dad telling me for the rest of my life that, well, that was stupid. Why did you just do that? Because then you lose. To me, the guy that you just knocked out of just lost 100% respect for you. He ate you now. Yeah. And so I wouldn't do that. Now, if somebody wrecked me out of the way, if the roles reversed the next week or something, I still wouldn't do it. I would spend every possible moment to pass him clean first. Yeah. But eventually, you're going to return the favor aspect of things, although I still don't believe in that either. But I wasn't going to do that. I don't know of any race I've knocked anybody out of the way.
Was the Mr. Nice Guy talk something that bothered you?
I don't care.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
Fair enough.
I don't care.
That's what we called it. Fair enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
Benny Parsons reborn. Both on and off the track.
No, you try to be nice. I am how I am. We all do weird stuff and different things that I shouldn't do and things of that nature, but that's just who I am. So I'm not. Yeah. I don't want to be like that guy. He may not want to be like me either, but I'm just going to be who I am. Right. So,
well, finally at Rockingham, you get the first Winston Cup victory. Now, what do you remember about that?
Everything. We went down there. Went down there and tested. We felt good. We get down there for the race, and we were horrible, which didn't make any sense to us. How can we be that good in the tests and now horrible? And we struggled. We kept making changes. Finally, we qualified, which was not good. And talked to James, and I gotta love James, man. He's confident, and he goes, "I got a plan." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not gonna tell you my plan. I'll get back with you." And I'm like, "Okay." And I hang around for a little bit, and I'm watching what's going on, and then James says, "You just go over there for a while. I don't want you to see what I'm doing." That's okay. So he made all these changes. Well, before the race, I go, all right, what do we got? What do we got? He goes, I changed both front springs to right rear spring. I put a different sway bar in it, changed the camber, and then split the the truck arms.
Is that all?
I started to laugh, and I says, yeah, we looked at each other. Well, can't be any worse in practice, which is right. But after and you went through all this stuff, in 85% of it made sense to me. Not sure about the others. But I thought, well, 85 is a pretty good number, I trust what he's doing. So we go out there, and I'll tell you what, we ran like 40 laps, and I says, oh, we're going to be good. Took me 40 laps, and I knew we were going to be good.
Yeah.
So that was cool. So how much more of the story you want? You want the rest of the story, don't you?
Absolutely.
No specific questions. We just ran good. We ran good. Our pit stops were good. Our James's decision on when we pitted were good. We short pitted. We hung out. We'd done a little bit of everything that he had a really good sense of what we needed to do late in the race. Because Rockingham, always, you run 40, 50 laps on tires, you're wanting to quit, come in, I'll change tires myself if I got to get new tires. And so we were running, we short pitted, we did this. And we got lucky because on that last pit stop, we didn't short pit, we had pitted. And there was still, there was got to have been 90, 100 laps. It was a long, long run. And so, the first part, you just kind of hang for a little bit and then you get going. Well, then I started to go, but not giving it all because we know what tires ain't gonna last. And I'm kind of going, and a couple of guys were just letting me go because they're like, yeah, running way too fast at this point in time. But what they did is they made it easy on the pass. I wasn't wearing out anything past them because they were like, oh, he's coming. And they go, okay, he's going to go by, and then we'll see him in a little while. He'll be going that way. I knew that, though. So I took advantage of them letting me by. Then I would not wear the car out. And then it got harder when you got up near the front. And then I just would bide my time, and I'm like, I go, we got to be 50 laps into these tires. When are we going to pit? James is like, not now, because we were going to short pit. He was not now, hold off. He wanted somebody else to start that program when nobody did. Nobody came in. Nobody short pitted. That would have changed that whole race. So we stayed out. And I'm sure that every driver is out there screaming. And then we kind of kept going. I said, Mark, back off a little bit. I was able to get by Mark. And then I was shocked I was able to get by Kurt Busch. I thought he'd fight me a little harder. But then James is yelling at me, I need you to save fuel and now run hard. I go, I'm not running hard. It was super easy on the tires, or felt like it. And then he goes, remember when you went by Mark? I go, yeah, Mark knows how to do this deal. He ain't gonna fight nobody until the end. And then all of a sudden, here he come. And I was like, oh my gosh. And you see him coming fast, but then all of a sudden that became really slow. I knew he was struggling. And so were we. But I just kept your deal and kept going. I got a good break because right at the end there, with like 10 laps to go, people started pitting, 10, 15 laps to go. Well, they were catching us at good and bad points. And I think at the times that they were catching Mark and catching me, he had worse breaks on those catches than I did. And put him in a position he didn't want to be in, whether he couldn't come off the corner there on the outside or whatever. I was running low in 1, 2, high in 3 and 4. So they went around the outside of me, which I wanted to bottom. Well, in 3 and 4, I wanted to top, so I'd let him go underneath. Well, Mark was running the bottom of both. So they put him in a couple awkward positions, which was a benefit to me. I think that's why he won that race. I think if he didn't have those things, he could have got by us. But we were both driving our butt off. Even in Mark's interview, man, we were just driving the fools out of them. And you can see it. It's hard to see. I think racers see it. When you're looking at TV, it doesn't look that bad. Yeah. But if you look in the window and you see that thing doing this, you're fighting bad. Right. And it's just. Right. But we would run the entire race with no caution.
Yeah.
Kenny Schrader ran out with 2 to go, and then I was worried about fuel. Well, you can't worry about it now. I mean, and we were fortunate we made it. I never made it back to pit road.
Did you not?
I did our stuff, and then they came and got us. Pushed I run out of fuel, but I'm sure Mark was in that same spot, and everybody else. It was a good win.
What was the view like from the mountaintop after winning that race?
Oh, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's my first win. We've been close so many times, and it was like, you're like, okay, it finally happened, and it was pretty amazing.
So late 2002, you win at Rockingham.
Mm-hmm.
Late 2003, you were let go by that team.
3 or 4. I thought we ran 04.
No, 04 you were kind of,
I thought 04 was, okay.
Yeah, I think 04 you started Busch Series maybe with James
Okay,
Finch.
I thought that was 05.
Yeah.
But anyways, I knew it was coming. There were, James had some conflicts within the thing.
James
And
yeah.
It's kind of weird because money was never a big issue with the MB2 there, but they were wanting to change direction. They were wanting us to do in-house cars. The other side of the team was running them. I'd help with some of the testing. I didn't like them, and it became enough of a conflict that James walked out of the shop, and I think there was 4 races to go. Of course, at this point in time, I hear that Scott Riggs is coming. I've heard it. Maybe it wasn't quite. It was in that vicinity. And so I went. I went up there and I said, "Hey, just tell me what's going on." "Nope, you're good," because I still had a contract. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of going for. And no, you're good. You're good. I go, look, if it's just tell me what's going on. What to deal with. Nope, you're all good. Everything is cool. We're moving forward. This and that, whatever. James left. Jay Guy was crew chief at that point in time. So we didn't get anybody from outside. We did it in-house. And then we finished out the year, which was pretty good. I think even we run 4th at Miami. I mean, we're running good. And again, we're all good. Yep, we're good. We're good. And I get home, they sent me an email after I was just in the office. Well, you're fired. Well, that pissed me off because I was
Really?
I was in the office. You just told me I'm good. Now you're going to email me and tell me you're different. So that really irritated me. But
I can't imagine why.
yeah, I mean, because I'm like,
yeah,
what do we got? And so I laugh about it today. I wasn't real happy at the moment, but because I was looking forward to move forward and do. I mean, we're still running good. I mean, like I said, we just finished the year off. Run up front, would race, whatever, and then run 4th the last. I mean, we're right there, and they didn't want to move forward. So, it's our team. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just let you know what's going on.